Alright, hello, welcome to Pac-Man World 2. This is a 2002 multi-platform 6th gen console game, so it was released on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. It's a 3D platformer featuring Pac-Man that's a sequel to the original Pac-Man World, which was originally made for Pac-Man's 20th birthday. And it's kind of a cult classic. Obviously a lot of people played this on PS2, because that's like one of the best-selling consoles. I personally grew up playing it on GameCube, which is the version I'm still playing on, because it's the fastest, for a reason we'll get to later in the run. But for now, I'm going to get started, and timer starts when I click New Game on the title screen. I'm not playing with a memory card in, because that would mean that at the end of every level, I get prompted to save the game, and that just wastes a lot of time throughout the run. The first level, Pac Village, is a tutorial level, basically. I'm just gonna, like, roll out to the loading zone. You can go out and collect as much as you want, but you don't have to. You can just leave the level. And that's true for the whole game. There are a bunch of collectibles in this game. There are Pac Dots and 5 fruits that you can collect. However, in the run, you don't need to collect any of them. There's one level where you need to collect a few things, but again, I will get to that way later in the game. For now, I'm going to keep going and explain my movement. You see me doing this roll move a lot. It's called a rev roll, and what the rev roll does is... it's kind of a spin dash type thing, if you've played a Sonic game. I charge it up in place, and then by holding the B button, and then let go of the B button, and I burst off at a very high speed in the direction that I was, like, facing, and I can, like, roll around. The spin, or the rev roll, compared to, like, the spin dash in a lot of Sonic games, can interact with, like, geometry pretty funny. So in this stage, you're gonna see me using these plants as a ramp, for example, several times. And that kind of is what makes this game unique, is, with the rev roll, it's the fastest form of movement, so you want to be using it as much as possible, and you can use it in some very, very silly ways. So you're going to see a lot of really funny, like, interactions with collision throughout the run, where I'm going to roll into something that will usually give me height is a good thing. Like, trying to rev roll over obstacles so that you don't need to use the jump button as much, because obviously when you're in the air, you can't, like, you can't rev roll, which means you can't get to, like, your best possible speed. You can butt bounce, though, which you saw me doing there. It makes you do a bounce when you land on the ground, and that's actually pretty good for, like, landing quicker if you need to do that. However, you can also use a kickflip, which is by pressing B in the air, and that will lock your height instead of making you do a full jump. I did a trick in that level, by the way, called Waterless. There was that portion in the middle of the level where I rolled over a giant lake by hitting a bunch of weird collision without entering the water. Entering the water is slow there, and Waterless is skipping it. This is Blinky. I'm going to go for a strategy here, where I'm going to go against a weak point on the side of his head and the wall. Usually what you're supposed... I didn't mean to do... I don't think I've ever done that before. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to, like, break the tongue in the first phase, but then in the second phase, the tongue turns metal, so you have to jump on the tongue and roll into him. However, the hit point, as you can tell, extends into, like, outside of his body, so I have used that. And then on top of that, you see me pausing a lot in this fight. His invincibility frames, when he's shaking, those are Blinky's invincibility frames. You can see that they run out even when the game is paused, but the timer before his next phase starts doesn't run when the game is paused, and that just makes it way easier to rack up a bunch of hits within one phase of the fight. Or not one phase, but one cycle, rather, of the fight. So that was a 2-cycle fight, which is not optimal, but, you know, it's better than most versions of the fight. I was already on a 2-cycle pace, but then that exit happened. Coming up is a skip called Bedoing Wood Skip. I'm gonna just roll off this box and skip a third of the stage. You're supposed to climb all the way up that tree and then, like, all the way back down, but you can just roll to a later part of the level. There's a lot of, like, skips like that in this run, where I'm gonna save time by doing something that just, like, uses the level design to my advantage, and skip something small. Some stages have more major skips than others. We'll get to those. But in the early run especially, what kind of happens in this game is that the earlier levels are a lot less compact than the later levels. So, like, the earlier levels have a lot of moving around in the same direction. So, like, this level's pretty open. So there's not really too many speed strats, because it's hard to skip parts of the level based on how far away parts of the level are. However, later in the run, we're going to get levels that are a lot more compact, therefore, like, parts of the level, different parts of the level are closer together. It'll be a lot easier to skip parts of levels later on in the run. Camera. This is a 3D platformer, so you can probably guess that the camera is one of the biggest challenges in this game. So is ledges, apparently. They're not actually. There is kind of a system, or like a problem with this game that the community likes to call magnet hands, where Pac-Man will sometimes be way too, like, greedy to grab onto a ledge, even if he's probably not in ledge grabbing range. It's a funny balance, because Pac-Man World 1 is kind of notorious for Pac-Man never grabbing ledges, and then in the second game, he is way too adamant to grab them. But we're almost done with this level. We just need to go around this tree here, and then climb up the branches a bit. There's one more thing that can actually damage me in the level, so I'm going to be careful of it. There it is. And there we go. That is Treewood Forest done. And now we're going to go to Butane Pane. Butane Pane has a few skips going on, so I'll try and explain them the best I can. Immediately what I'm going to do is grab a Chrome Ball, which makes me basically invincible. And then I'm going to rev roll all the way here. This leads me to this bonus area that you're not supposed to access that early in the stage. And so when I leave the bonus area, I go pretty far into the stage. And not only does that skip parts of the level, but it lets me keep the Chrome Ball into later parts of the stage, which is good, because those saw blades can be a pain, and I also want to have full health going into this next section. I'm going to do Chrome Ball skip here. There's a Chrome Ball on the other side of this tree that I'm supposed to use to climb this fire without getting damaged. If I'm fast enough, I don't need it at all, and then once I make it to the top of the tree, I can jump to this part of the level, which is that button that was at the top of the tree. I'm supposed to hit it, go back down the tree, and then I'll ride this long, like, chain of trampolines to get to that part of the level that I can just kind of jump to. And that's, like, that, because, like, that's another one of those skips that I mentioned, where two parts of the level are just kind of close enough together where you can get to one without the game really intending you to get to one that early. And that's the end of World 2, almost. The Treetop World. We just have Inky. And Inky is one of the main reasons I'm actually playing on the GameCube version. As you might know, with a lot of multi-platform games from the 6th gen consoles, GameCube is usually not the fastest loading console out of the three, out of GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. It's usually the Xbox. A lot of games that are run on 6th gen console are run on Xbox. There's a physics change between the GameCube and Xbox PS2 versions of the game, where that strategy you saw me pull on Inky doesn't work. So on GameCube, Inky, and the next boss, I'll just say it now, Pinky, Inky and Pinky, as you saw there, I'm able to just kind of hug them with my rev roll still going, and it deals a bunch of damage. On other versions of the game, notably Xbox, where the loads are faster, you get, like, knocked away whenever you deal a point of damage to either of those bosses. And fortunately, you didn't see it happen, because I did that Inky fight really well. But if you don't do the Inky fight fast enough, it gets really off the rails really fast. And on Xbox, because of that physics change, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to go off the rails. And so that change to the two bosses make this version of the game the fastest, despite it not being the version that loads the fastest. Fortunately, I'm able to talk about that in this stage, because this stage doesn't have a lot going on. Ice climbing is pretty easy with a combination of rev rolling and kick flipping. Because as I mentioned earlier, kick flipping kind of cancels your aerial momentum, so you can steer yourself pretty easily on ice. Like you can see here with kick flipping, I get a really good forward. These ram enemies are called rev roll rams. They're some of the most annoying things in the game. Any casual player probably already knows and despises them. But we're almost done here. I'm almost done with the level. I just need to get to this platform, and then go this way, and this path over here is the end of the level. Alright. Coming up next is a very notorious level, and for a reason, it's rather difficult. This is Avalanche Alley. It's a very long level, mind you. I've cleared like 10 levels in the span of this 10-minute run, and this level is now going to take like over 3 minutes. Not the longest level in the game. We have... you'll know which that one is, but... So yeah, Avalanche Alley starts with this like Crash Bandicoot style like forward camera boulder chase, where you really benefit off of like memorizing this level beforehand. So like knowing where I'm going is a real good thing to be doing. I mean, that's just true of the game in general, but especially in the sections where you can't really see the level ahead of you. Being able to rev roll with confidence that you know where you're going is kind of huge. And then we get to this part of the level. Rev rolling off that box is really good for this ice section you see there. And then I'm going to do something called a wind boost. Oh, never mind, I'm not doing a wind boost. There's more wind blowers, so I'll talk about wind boosts anyways. A wind boost is those wind blowers are supposed to, like... I'm gonna just, like, go here. Those wind blowers are supposed to, like, try and stop you from rolling into them. However, if you are at, like, the beginning of your rev roll and you roll into one, it actually just kind of amplifies your speed while you're still in a part of your rev roll where you have control. So you can use that to just make your rev roll stronger. There I did a skip called Final Cave Early, where I skipped using 2 trampolines in order to get into this final cave of the level. Final Cave Early is the family-friendly version of the name. We have a not family-friendly version of the name. Not because that skip is hard, just because, I don't know, the community is silly. So yeah, you can see me using I'm going to be using a good chunk of wind rolls and the wind blowers in general in this cave. Even though they're supposed to be like these obstacles that mess me up, I'm using them to my advantage all that I can. I'm going to try and skip this pack dot chain here. I've gone on quite a few of these but haven't explained them. If you see a red pack dot followed by a line of pack dots like that, touching the red pack dot will make you fly in the air and follow that chain. And it's just a tactic that's used to navigate some levels when it's placed in the level. They are kind of slow. Like, the movement on them, you saw, like, one near the beginning of the run, and maybe another one, I don't quite remember. So, when you can skip them, you usually want to. And I'm dead. This is why this level's notorious, because this final cave is a real risk-reward system, where you can try and use wind rolls to go as fast as possible, but you still do risk losing control and dying to them. I think my GameCube just shut itself. Nope. My GameCube did something funny. But trust me when I say I've never seen a load that long. That's like, what, 2 or 3 already never seen before? in this one run. Okay, I'm gonna try and play this wind roll safer. There we go. That's pretty good. And then touch this. I don't want to touch my controller at this point, otherwise I will... There we go. It's possible to soft lock at the very end of that level, and it's painful. But I didn't there. So next is Blade Mountain. Blade Mountain's pretty cool. It's a roller... Not a roller. Ice skating level. So... what I'm looking for is, one, not to get hit by these icicles, because if you do, you're, like, transferred to a hit state instead of an ice skating state. So, you, like, do this slip animation when you get hit by an icicle, and it's very slow and kills all your speed. And speaking of speed, the other thing I'm looking for is this model right here, where Pac-Man's hands are behind his body like that, because what that means is I'm moving, like, as fast as I can. When his hands are on his side like that, that means it's just kind of a sharp enough turn. And then when I'm not at, like, my high forward speed, you'll see that animation where he's, like, swinging his arms. And that's not good, because that means you're not at, like, top speed. I can try a funny little skip here that saves like a second. You lose speed when you're in the air in this level. Okay, never mind. You can, if you have a good speed, jump to the right and skip this ramp and still jump over that pit just fine. But I didn't get it. See, like there, I didn't jump off the ramp. I went off it for that one, but I didn't jump off it. And it was slightly faster than jumping off it. So this is the last part of the level. At this point, we can't really do much cool stuff. I just kind of have to hold forward and go down the cave as fast as I can. Okay, that's not good. That's really bad, because I have to do a really big jump right now. Okay, I'm gonna make the jump. I'm fine. That was really scary. And now we have Pinky. We're finally at Pinky, who I mentioned like 10 minutes ago. Pinky can be pretty annoying because she likes to be on the side, as you just saw there, so you can't do the normal strat that you saw in Inky too well. I kind of have to do this curve strat. I wasn't supposed to do it there, but, like, you have to on, like, these phases. She goes from taking 2 hits to taking 3 hits, so I can try and do the normal strat there. I don't know what damaged me there, but, like, she's scary. Pinky is really scary. She can knock you off with ease. There you go. That's what you want to see for phases 3 and 4 is... Well, that works. There we go. That was okay. Not great, but could have gone a lot worse. I hit most of the phases. And now we're on to World 4, which is the volcano. Into the Volcano is a pretty tame level. Got some small skips throughout and a lot of platform cycles, but nothing major. Those platform cycles are kind of important, so hopefully I make a good amount of them. Like, I don't want to miss this platform. That would not be swag. That worked. Ramp here. So, like, yeah, another small skip here is I will use that little ledge for height. Alright. So a little bit more of this level to go. I can do a kind of scary looking thing here, but it's actually very consistent and safe. There we go. I'm probably worse at this roll than I am at that roll I just did. And I still got that. Nice. That's just not correct. I need to fix that. My alarm for having a class went off, but I don't have a class. So this level ending is usually why you don't want to die in this stage, because the platform cycles were pretty important there. I was going to bring that up, but my alarm for a class I don't have went off. So that's cool. I'll fix that right now. And in the middle of fixing my alarms, we have the biggest skip in the game. One of the two biggest skips in the game, really, is Volcanic Panic skip. So, Volcanic Panic, I'm going to start off by grabbing this chrome ball and then trying to go as far as I can with it. I need to go really fast here because I need to carry this chrome ball for a good amount of time. I need to sink into the lava here, which you can do with a chrome ball, and then go under that wall there. And I'm on this lava plane. The gimmick of this level is that this lava constantly gets lowered. Like, you're supposed to constantly be lowering the lava throughout this level, and then the goal is at the bottom. So that's why this lava plane is out of bounds. And then once I'm out of bounds, I have to be real careful. If I'm too fast falling onto the goal, the level kind of ends in this like small tunnel-like thing, and I was trying to get on top of that because once you're on top of it, you're technically in like the trigger for the level ending. However, depending on how fast you fall down there, you can hit lava and die. So I was trying to like inch towards there because because if you're slow enough, you won't hit the lava there, and you'll land on the tunnel, and you'll end the level. So, like, every part of the skip has something that can go wrong. You can mess up your early movement and go too slow to have the chrome ball for long enough. As you saw there, I went too low trying to go under the wall, and I died of death plane. There's just part of this lava plane right here where you can fall through the lava. It's just not solid, so I have to take a specific path here. I have to make sure I butt bounce down here. Otherwise, I will die of fall damage. And then, yeah, I have to fall too slow onto the tunnel. Okay, took a few tries, but I got to explain everything that I wanted to. And then we get to Magma Opus, which is a level. There are some pretty big skips in this one, but we still have to play a decent chunk of it. I almost messed that up horribly. Fortunately, the skipping stuff doesn't really start until right here. We have room skip. I'm gonna skip this whole room where I'm supposed to, like, almost do a fetch quest. Oh, I'm dead. I'm almost supposed to do, like, a fetch quest type thing within this room. Instead what I can do is I can die again, because that's just swaggy. I can go to the other side of the room, like where the exit is. Because usually the fetch questy type thing is I have to go back and forth hitting these buttons. But I can grab onto this ledge, and it'll actually align me perfectly to just roll right into that room. and now I'm at the checkpoint. Kind of abusing iframes there, except I didn't abuse iframes as properly as I could have. And now I have another chrome ball, and now we're on a kind of another chrome ball dash where I want to go fast enough to use this chrome ball somewhere funny. Less major than in Volcanic Panic. I don't need the chrome ball for the major skip at the end of the stage. But this part of the level right here has a giant lava plane, and if I have the chrome ball, I can just kind of jump over it. And then we have slide skip. So I'm just going to jump off the right of this slide and eventually butt bounce and land at a later part of the slide and then butt bounce again and finish the level. There are 4 slides in that part of the level that you go on with checkpoints after each one. And I jumped from the beginning of the slides to the second checkpoint and then from the second checkpoint to the end. So it's kind of a 2-part skip. You can technically do both slide skips at the same time, but that's actually slower than just doing it like the way I did. And then we get to Clyde, who is very notorious in this game casually. Something much different from Inky and Pinky is that they have this metal exterior that you cannot rev roll into like the other two. So you do have to do the other method of damaging these mechs, these ghost-shaped mechs, which is bouncing on the glass cockpit on top. Every phase has a way. There are 5 phases in this fight. Every phase has a way to double hit it. So you're going to see here, I'm going to hit Clyde. Okay, well, I messed it up, so this could be really bad. Yeah, okay. I have never tried to do that before, so I don't know why I went for it. But the ideal situation is you do a butt bounce before he stops, and then when he stops, he won't continue moving because he hasn't been registered as hit yet, kind of in that little state, and that'll end the fight. And that'll end the phase because you only need 2 hits per phase. It's not like that hard. Okay, hopefully I'll hit him this time. There we go. Shouldn't really come into effect on phase 2, or like phase 3 for that matter, but it does come into effect sometimes, so I'll talk about it now. And that is, for some reason, the developers of this game, I don't think know how broken glass works rather, but like every subsequent phase in this fight, the hitbox for the cockpit that Clyde is in becomes smaller and smaller. So it's a lot harder to hit him in the later phases. I don't know why it's like that, but it is, and it just makes this fight worse, because why wouldn't this fight be worse? Again, this fight is very notorious to casual players for just being an impasse. Hopefully I will hit him. I did not. Okay, I'm just gonna take the long phase here. This isn't really a bad phase to miss the double hit on, because it's not a long one. You do see the first instance of the triple fireballs, which, as you can tell, lagged the game. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna get one more hit here. Or one more chance to hit him here. Hopefully I'll get the double hit. I can't ascend into space here. I am ascending into... Okay, we're good. Yeah, with the kind of limited hitbox there, it's very easy to just, like, spend a while at that part of the fight. Like, just, like, going up in the air, following Clyde, trying to hit him the second time. But now we've reached the water world, which is a notable slow point of the run. We have Scuba Duba and Shark Attack, which are 2 levels that are basically on rails, is the way I like to describe them. You can press the B button to do the spin attack and speed them up, and there's, like, this little bit of tech that I'll explain if I get it, but I probably won't get it at any point. But yeah, really this level is on rails. You're stuck moving forward. You can press this B button to do the spin dash. It's not like a Sonic spin dash, but you're spinning and moving forward at a faster pace, so it's a spin dash. And I'm just kind of going to be doing this for 3 minutes in the next 2 levels. 3 minutes each, by the way. Both of these next levels are like 3 minutes long. It's kind of silly, but it gets worse after these 2 levels, trust me. Just wait. So here's a high quantity of mines. I guess to have something to talk about in these next levels, I'm going to talk about the movement tech that I mentioned is possible in this part of the level, but just very difficult. And maybe go for it. Didn't really get it there. There's a thing you can do in this part, in these levels, called mine boosts, where you take damage from a mine and then get hit by another mine. So the mine doesn't give you the damage-like effect, which usually slows you down. But the mine still explodes because you come in contact with it. That's just how they work. And so the mine will try and push you out. And sometimes, depending on how you contact the mine with invincibility frames, it will push you forward. And you will get kind of like the speed boost from the mine pushing you out. And it's pretty good if you can get it. There's like one in particular near the end of Shark Attack here, which is the level that I just entered, that is like a lot faster, or like a lot easier to set up than most other mine boosts. It's not necessarily a faster mine boost, but like it's a one that has a setup essentially, because not a lot of the mine boosts do. So hopefully I'll get the one with the setup, and if I don't, that's just kind of sad. Also, I'm at low health in these levels. You never want to be at low health in these levels, because dying is horrible. One thing about this game is that checkpoints are very weird. The way they're spaced out is kind of dependent on the level. So in a level with a lot of side paths, there are checkpoints, like, actually everywhere. Meanwhile, in a level like this that's very straightforward, they're spaced out, and they're not very lenient. So dying in a like, straightforward level is really bad, because that means that there are probably less checkpoints in that level due to it being more straightforward. Meanwhile, in like a maze-like level, the game kind of just expects you to explore and find collectibles, so it gives you more checkpoints in levels where there are more side paths. I kind of did a boost there, like a mine boost-like thing off of one of those missiles. I got a little bit of a speed boost from getting hit upwards. That's not really the extent that you see a normal mine boost performed. But you can see me getting launched pretty severely in certain directions with some of the hits I've been taking in this level. And I'm dead. I tried to move down, but I was too busy being brainless and mashing the B button like I do in this level every time. So that was my bad. Fortunately, I like just hit a checkpoint. I barely lost any time. I still lost time from the death, but like I'm at full health now. Right here. Didn't get it at all. I was too far to the left. But that's that third thing there. That third kind of like mine wall is where the mine boost with the setup is that most people can land. I say most people because I didn't get it. But that's the end of the two on-rails water levels where you just sit there and mash B. And now we have another on-rails water level. But you don't sit there and mash B. This is Yellow Pac-Man, also known as the 8-minute stress test. It is an 8-minute auto-scroll. I wish that was a joke. I really do wish that was a joke, but I'm dead serious. So this is an 8-minute 8-minute auto-scroller that takes place in a submarine. You have torpedoes, 6 can be on a screen at a time. Usually if you miss, they're on screen for a while. There you go, you see. But you can't really do anything in this level during the 8 minutes, because the level is actually randomly generated. Fun fact, there are 3 things that can appear in this level. These mine sections where enemies attack you, like you're seeing right now. And then the third one is these pipes that you have to dodge, which you'll probably see next. Nope, we're back to mines. But what happens because of this is, like, the order that you see stuff in can be random. So you're not going to have the same Pac-Man experience every time. And part of that is level generation. As you can see, a lot of mines and some of the pipes will also try and track your location to try and get you to move around more. So this isn't an auto-scroller where you can sit still and do nothing. Because if you sit still and do nothing, the game is going to put a lot of mines on your forward location, just so that to punish you for trying to sit there and do nothing. So that's cool. This is also cool because thanks to the random generation, it's actually possible to collect every collectible that you see in this level and not 100% it. I got a token though. On top of this level being annoying to 100%, fun fact, this level also is bugged. There are 6 oranges in this level, and the game only accounts for 5. So you can get over 100% on this level. And there's a bonus token, which is another collectible that doesn't count towards 100%, but it unlocks other stuff. But there's a bonus token that you can get. There's a bonus token that you can get for 100%ing each level, and if you get the 6th orange, you don't get the bonus token. Fortunately, the game, if you just get normal 100%, won't, like, keep the over 100%. It will snap back to 100 over, like, it'll overwrite 100 over, I think it's 104%. So you're not locked out of that bonus token forever, but it's funny and silly and dumb. We're less than a minute away from, like, the halfway point of this level. And here we are. So these are the guns. You get these fun little pellets to fire. They appear around a little bit more than halfway through the stage. And they're pretty OP, as you can see. So this is kind of the autopilot point. This is where your brain can turn off. You just hold B. Just like the other water levels. You just keep pressing B. What can possibly go wrong? So I'll let you in on a little secret. This level's not hard. You probably could tell. I mentioned that it's known as the 8-minute stress test. It's not because the level's hard and there's a high risk of death. It's because you have to wait 8 minutes from the start of that level before you get into the fight with Mega Whale. Mega Whale is a notorious run killer at high levels. He's not necessarily difficult. There's not a chance of death. And the fight's very recoverable. However, there is a very difficult to pull off one-cycle kill on this fight. And I wasn't even close to it. So the way that this fight works is, as you kind of saw right there, there are 4 propellers on the back of the Mega Whale, and each one has 9 hits before it breaks off. What the goal is when you're trying to hit more than one propeller in one phase, in one cycle rather, because usually what happens is you'll hit one propeller off, and then Mega Whale will just, like, run off, like you saw in that first cycle of mine. However, if you try and prep by getting as many propellers to 8 as you can, you can try and do quick movements to hit multiple propellers at once. I have been messing up this fight horribly, so I'm gonna get a 4 cycle, which is just the default how the fight works. However, it is possible to do as good as 1 cycle this boss. One of the things I got in Yellow Pac-Man was, on top of the gun, was a Smart Bomb, which also appears in this level at some point at the very beginning. That does not damage the propellers at all. Otherwise, we would probably use that, and 1 cycle Mega Whale would be the freest thing in the run. But it doesn't damage the propellers. If only it damaged the propellers, this would be like an infinitely easier strat, but oh well. I'm almost done with the boss, and then we only have 1 more world of the game to get through before we're completely finished, so that's good. I just want to hit that enemy. There we go. A Smart Bomb kind of, like, goes off automatically whenever a propeller's down, so that all the, like, projectiles that could hit you go away. And that brings us to the last world of the run. This is Haunted Boardwalk, and when I mentioned roller skating by accident in the ice skating level earlier, that was a slip of the tongue, but there also is a roller skating level in this game, so that's cool. You ride down this boardwalk on roller skates, and it's one of the best levels in the game. After the first checkpoint here, whenever you land on a part of the boardwalk, the floor will, like, come out from under you. And that is pretty good and bad. Bad because you can die easily. However, good because you can use that to your advantage. The physics, they don't, like, just kind of fall flat. There are physics depending on what part of the platform you land on, to how they fall. And you can almost use that to your advantage to, like, create downward slopes. Or upward slopes in some of the, if you want more height. But downward slopes if you want more speed. So there's a lot of things that you can do to slightly save time in this level. You're also going to see me doing a lot of kick flipping, because kick flipping, like, stops your air momentum, so you can use it to do really short jumps. Or just kind of stop where you are in your mid-air movement, which is real good for saving time. this is the end of the level. I was kind of quiet throughout that level, focusing, and there wasn't too much to say, but there you go. That's the end of the level. The next two levels. This is Night Crawling. Night Crawling is an interesting level. It is the only level in the game where I need to collect things. Other than Pac Dots, that is. Because Pac Dot chains have been a thing. I've mentioned them. You've seen them. Yada yada. This is the only level in the run where I need to collect something that isn't a Pac Dot for a reason that isn't riding a Pac Dot chain. One form of collectible in this game, or one form of way of collecting things in this game, rather, is these chests that you might have seen very slight glimpses of throughout the run. There are these collectible methods in which you need to have at least one of the fruit printed on the chest in order to open the chest. This level has two chests, that cherry chest right there and that apple chest right there, that are required for progressing in the level. There's another apple chest later in the level, but that's really all you need them for. And it's not a consumption-based thing. You don't, like, consume an apple or a cherry when you do that, so... it's neat. I can go for this. Oh, I forgot about this cherry chest, too. I'm just gonna jump on this platform because I kind of messed up my positioning there. Alright. We're almost done with the level here. Also, if you couldn't tell, but I haven't mentioned it, but if you couldn't tell, platform cycles, like the moving platform cycles, is a big thing in this stage. You want to go fast to make platform cycles. Fortunately, I did pretty good on those. Even though that level wasn't perfect, I might have just played so bad I looped back around to having a good cycle. I don't know. I mean, that didn't feel bad, though. That stage felt fine. And then we have Ghost Bayou, which is the last stage before the final boss. This stage is notorious casually because it's a giant maze and no one ever knows where to go in it. However, it's also a very skippable maze. So I'm going to go under an invisible wall here, just like that, except not like that at all. There's an invisible wall on the sides of the bridge that's supposed to stop you from, like, jumping to later parts of the level at the very beginning. However, the invisible wall is not under the bridge, so... I can just, try and roll under the... there we go. And now I'm at a very late part of the level. I'm gonna roll over to this dirt path from the other dirt path. And this is actually a dirt path that is at the very end of the level. So I'm almost done with the level. What I just need to do is activate a Pac Dot chain to the end of the level by rolling over here and hitting that button and grabbing one dot from the chain that spawns. Will spawn this chain over here. You can see it. There it is. And then I get that chain. And there's one more skip I can do here called Wait Skip. We'll see if I get it. It takes abuse of something called an 8-frame jump, which is something... that I've yet to explain, but I've tried to abuse a few times already. I didn't get it. Usually, if you did the jump right, you'd be in the level complete screen and not have to wait for those 3 to 5 seconds and be standing there. An 8-frame jump is when you get when you're in the air, when you get transferred from the ground to the air from something that isn't a jump, like a Pac Dot chain. When you are done with that, like, animation, you have 8 frames where you can jump before the game realizes, hey, you're in the air. So this is the final boss, Spooky. You can stun lock him before his dialogue starts, just like that. He takes 4 hits each phase, and he has 3 phases. You can do this stun lock on 2 of the phases, and then you intentionally die to reset his position. I didn't get the stun lock there, so I'm going to have to go for it again. There we go. But yeah, you intentionally die to reset his position so you can set up the stun lock again. This final phase, you can only stun lock him, hit him 2 times instead of all 4. You technically can do it all 4 times, but it's like frame perfect after the second one or something. And then you have to kind of do the fight as normal, which is like this. He will run around the arena and shoot fireballs at you. You kind of have to chase him. You kind of have to wait for him to make himself vulnerable. He'll try and use the spell, and the spell that he uses changes each phase. But that's when he, like, makes himself vulnerable, kind of, is when he's charging that spell. You can technically hit him at basically any point, even when he's not charging the spell, but it's a bit harder, because he's at a point in the fight where he's still running away a lot. But it's doable. I am gonna just try not to die here, because I don't want to die on the last phase of the fight and have to try it again, because it's a very annoying phase of the fight. But time is when I deal the last hit, which is right now. There we go. Not a very good run, but it still went 6 minutes under my usual estimate, so there's that. I didn't mean to skip that cutscene, but that's the final cutscene, and these are the credits. So this is one of my first speed games, actually. Fun fact, I'm known for a whole bunch of speed games. This is the first one I ever ran, and it means a lot to me, both as a child and an older child, because that's what I am, I guess. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to just pick up and play. I barely practiced for this video. Should I admit that? I'm admitting that. I barely practiced for this video, and it was still great fun. So yeah, I love playing this game. And I've been a part of the community for a long time, and I've done a bunch of showcases of this game, and it's a very fun time. I don't really know what else to say, other than I just love this game. And thank you for watching. I'll see you later.